Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to The Thinking Cap, from wherever and whenever you might be watching this. We are live. You should be watching on YouTube live, and we have our producer, Mr. Jake Olinar, here with us today. We're going to be talking about college and university system today. Have an interesting discussion, interesting debate on whether or not you should consider going to a college or university, whether you're already established in a career, want to switch a career, or whether you are a high school senior when everybody's telling you to go to college, go to university. Is it worth it today? We'll talk about it. So first of all, I want to give a shout out to today's sponsor product, product of the week. That's going to be the Ridge Wallet, a very minimalist wallet. I'm a very minimalist person myself, and so I just recently upgraded to, or downgraded, depending on how you think about it, to this very minimalist wallet where I just have my cards, just have the little cash strap. And that's about it. Very small, different designs, RFID blocking, very convenient, very handy, very simple wallet. It certainly takes a load out of my pockets, and so it's very slick. I love just being able to hold it in my hand, and it's a lot better than just your average leather wallets. Nothing against them, but they can get bulky very quickly. Um, I know some people might like it, but if you're really just looking for something to carry your cards, carry some cash in, that's about it. Make sure to check out the Rich Wallet in various designs. I'm going to put a link in the description below. So with that out of the way, also want to share my screen here. Make sure you go to jacktemperley.com. You'll see my shop available here. We are also now available on Walmart, approved, signed, sealed, delivered, ready for selling. All of my apparel lineup, very interesting. What thought of them based on who I am, based on what I do. But below here, you'll see the thinking cap. We've got thinking caps available. We've got mugs available for the Thinking Cap podcast so that you can think while you're watching the podcast or think while you're having your morning coffee, think while you're out and about. We should always be thinking about something. We already are, whether we think about it or not. That's the irony of it. So make sure to go to, again, jacktempley.com/shop or /the thinking cap. You'll get all of our links there to podcasting platforms, as well as video platforms here. So, college or university, what did you get out of college? Because I know we both went to college. So I want to start with that question. What benefits did you get from going to college?
It's interesting, Jack, that you and I have both been at the community college system for a couple of years, and that's where we first met. And as far as I think for me personally, I had a ton of enjoyment, and I had a ton of various learning experiences in my college experience. First going to I was reluctant going to community college, which is Oakton, which is now Oakton College in Des Plaines, Illinois, and simply because I was not so confident in myself, and I don't know if I would fit in with just a just a normal uh, kind of like just an extension of high school, like some would argue. But after 2 years, it was definitely worth I would say just the more intimate community experience that was a community college, and also getting to know everybody, all pretty much almost everybody within your community, and also be develop relationships with even they're much deeper than goes in the classroom. building relationships with those in the faculty, those in the administration, and getting to learn many different type of things, and also being hands on in terms of what it's like in the workforce and how they're going to teach you things. So that's definitely been an upside, and it definitely helped in my when transferring to a 4 year college when I went to Columbia in Chicago. It definitely helped me have like a build like more of a leadership role and more of a team worker as far as how to carry on and how to help and mentor people within that type of environment. So, I mean, but I will say that I've had some ups and downs as far as as far as like guidance when I transferred into a 4 year school. It's like nobody's perfect, and I've had my struggles of trying to um, trying to apply for some meaningful jobs and trying to get like a very good apprentice internship or an apprenticeship as far as like going to the world of media arts specifically radio and TV. Those are very on demand, and people are very competitive for those jobs, so it's like trying to find the best connections. And I thought that's when I went to community college. They helped me, and they really, that system kind of taught me how to develop relationships and have those connections to try to advance in the workforce. So
So would you agree with the statements? It's not what you know, it's who you know.
it's not what you know; it's who you know, and how you treat others as well. So
I would agree with that as well, and I think that's a big plus for the college experience. But I would also consider you can make those sort of connections by going straight into the workforce as well. No, it's the
yeah, absolutely.
people that matter. Yes, you meet different people at the college or university level that you might meet at in a retail store.
Yeah. And
Uh,
just to clarify, it doesn't have need to apply to college and university. Sorry to interrupt, but also it can apply to trade school or even in the military as well.
it absolutely could. Um, Earlier on, you had stated that you were reluctant initially to go to college, and you explained why. Do you think that there are a lot of other, let's say, high school seniors um, that might also be reluctant to go to college, university, even if the high schools are all pushing for them to go?
hmm Well, simply because that when I was a high school student, I wasn't really the best student to be around with. To be honest with you, even like as far as like personally or academically as well. Because like I was more I really enjoyed like I grew up with my dad who's a carpenter, and he really likes building things, and he also taught me some basic things about about like how would you fit with this, and he taught me how to like build stuff to fix stuff with my hands. So that's really been helpful. My dad did encourage me to go to college and university, um, although I was hesitant at first. I will be honest with you with that, but yeah. So, but I also seen some of my friends who, well, especially my best friend who decided to go to the military. I mean, he went to the United States Marine Corps, and he became a first class sergeant, and didn't really see much need into going to like a full 4 year university.
Yeah, and there's definitely other options, and you know that the high school level certainly pushes people to go there, but not everybody. They prepare. I'll kind of backtrack a second there. Not everybody is prepared to go to college, and yet the schools prepare them to go, which
Do you
is an
think that is a
interesting.
problem? Do you think that is a problem about the public education system? Is that they push kids too much to going into to a college and university, and not not letting them know that there are options out there. Like,
Well,
just
absolutely, because that's
yeah,
the system.
yeah,
Because that system is government run. They don't want people to know that there are other options. And the reason is because education beyond the public education system exists in a vacuum, essentially. If if colleges and universities were not funded by state or not funded by tuitions that they collect from students who are encouraged by the state to go to, then the education system would fail in the marketplace because there are so many better options for people beyond high school, go directly into the workforce, start making money. But they don't want people to learn how to make money. They want people to go to colleges, universities, so that they can learn what the state, what the government wants you to learn, and so that you can prepare to go into a job, work for the rest of your life, or until you retire on $100,000 in in your 60s. And so it's all set up. It's all there's a reason why the public education system advocates for the things that it advocates. There's a reason why the universities advocate for the things that they advocate. There's a reason why they don't teach things that teach things in the public education system that they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know how to do your taxes so that they can collect more taxes. They don't want you to
mm,
know how to budget so that you spend more than you have, and that ultimately ends up hurting individuals. And it's debatable whether or not it helps the government because it keeps the economy moving. Yes, but then we look at the government, they're doing the exact same thing, spending more than they have, and then they blame us for well, they keep advocating us to do the same, and it puts us down a hole. And so there's a reason why these systems are in place, and that's why I say, is college worth it? Because there are other opportunities, other paths in life that you can take beyond university. Yet it's seldom talked about.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Part of a larger issue, and the old saying goes, like, follow where the money goes.
Yeah, exactly, and that's not something that people want to to talk about ever, and it's not something that the certainly government wants us to talk about. But
Yeah,
I feel like it's our duty, knowing this and seeing what's going on. I think it's our duty to educate people, and that's why I talk about it because we I see people, ourselves included, who go into the college, university level because they're told to. They're told that that's the best way to advance your career, advance in society, and to a certain extent, maybe, depending on what programs you get in. We were talking earlier about how if you are a nurse, you're trying to get a nursing degree. If you're a lawyer, go get a law degree. If you're a doctor, absolutely go pursue those education models. But most programs, most studies that people major in, they graduate with $100,000 worth of debt, and then they spend the next 30, 40 years paying off that debt to
mm.
to the government, and they end up in a hole partly of their own creation, but partly of society at large's creation.
And
And
you're
it's not
stuck with
necessarily
that like for like a few decades in your life. Just wasting just unfortunate significant years of your life just trying to pay off that debt. And it's kind of unfortunate that it has reached this level. Yeah, I mean, mine's. I mean, thank goodness with the scholarships that I have, well, at least a couple of them, and going to community college, I have five. I found out that I have to give back 5 figures, but it's still a significant part of our lives, unfortunately, that the society helps. The society makes us do when we have to face that reality. So
It is. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm I'm still glad that I went to community college. Still glad that I went to the university. Still glad I got my degrees in philosophy and business because it gave me the knowledge of those disciplines to go ahead and start my own stuff. But most people are not like me. Most people, um, they'll
most people,
graduate.
yeah, most people would graduate and would have zero idea what to do next, and that's kind of
Right,
like
and
a part of a bigger issue.
they'll get a job at Starbucks where you would only need a high school diploma because they don't have the experience. They don't have the
Yeah,
experience to get the job that they prepared for because those jobs that they've prepared for require more than just the degree.
they never had the opportunity to intern or to have an apprenticeship. I mean, here's my thing: is that if you go to a 4 year university and you just never put in the work in or even try to apply for an internship and get, that to me is a huge waste. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a way into the workforce, and depending on what you want to do. But even then, all things take time, but that also takes more time to go through, and that's why
Sure.
I knew someone, I knew people who would intern while they're in college, and that is a it's a great idea, as long as you're studying something that can get you into the career that you eventually want. But that's also a minority of students who are going to these classes, going to these programs. They, like you said, they're lost once they graduate, and it takes them forever to get out of the debt hole that they got themselves in, and they can't get a job, at least not the job that they prepared for, or the job that they think that they've prepared for.
Right. Yeah. Right. I also see the argument online is that maybe there could be a little bit of race baiting, and maybe with some individuals, like some minorities might not get the advantage. Unfortunately, might not get the advantage that others do. I mean, do you see any truth in that, as far as financially and how they are to
Honestly,
affect their
absolutely
class
not.
welfare? Mm,
Honestly, no. And in some ways, absolutely. But in the way that I think you're talking about it, absolutely not. Because they've given those quote unquote minority groups privilege
right.
more so over other groups, over other races, over other
Hmm.
nationalities, over other origins. They've, for example, I experienced it in my own university. Now, as a white man, they did not, they systemically frowned upon people with my background, and I have several examples of
Mm,
this that I'm not going to get into today, but I saw it seeping throughout the whole university's messaging, throughout certain programs and systems that they had in place, and so that's why it's really a myth that they want you
interesting.
to believe that these minority groups are oh, they're oppressed, or they're not given the advantages that other groups are. It's flip flopped. It's completely flipped upside down. You are, for example, you're much today in today's day and age. You are much more likely to get a scholarship as a black man going into a university than you are as a white man,
Mm,
because it's flipped upside down. And so that's it's what they want you to think. It's what they want you to think, that they don't want you to see what's actually going on.
mm. That's an interesting thing that you brought up there. As far as like, oh wow, it's very flipped around. And thinking about it, it's like, yeah, I've seen some instances where they tell you it's the case, but it's not. So it's a very good stat you put up there.
Yeah, I was an honors student at my university, and they had a scholarship. I'm not going to say exactly what the scholarship was, but they had a scholarship that was geared more towards minority groups. That's what the pamphlet said. And so I walked in and said, I'd like to
Mhm.
apply for the scholarship. And said, well, you're not a minority group. I said, well, I am at this university. At this university, uh, white people are not um, are the minority at this university. So what exactly do you mean by minority? So and they told me to my face that though no, you don't need the money. You don't because essentially because of the way that I looked. And so
That's hilarious.
I
What?
fought, yeah.
That's
So I
crazy.
fought I fought back at them. I said, well, I'm for first of all, for the record, I'm getting most of my education covered by scholarships that I earned through my hard work. And B, now, yes, family might have been helping with some expenses here and there, but again, the majority of the scholarships I worked hard for and I earned, and I'm still not getting the rest of my expenses met, and so I'm applying for more scholarships that I would have also earned had I not um, been allowed to apply for this kind of scholarship because the preference is to give it to people who have been historically marginalized or historically. They want you to think that those minority groups exist so that they don't see what it is that they're really doing. What's
So
this?
the thing is that like maybe another question we could ask here is that do you have any regrets about taking the path? Well, going in the path that you ultimately took, or it's like going from community college or to transferring to a 4 year university.
My take is ultimately no, I don't regret it because I met so many people along the way that I am very, very thankful to know today. And again, it's the people, it's who you know, not what you know. And those connections, many of those connections, I still take advantage of today. I'm still in touch with them, obviously, with you as an example. You know, however, and I have, and I had a lot of really incredible experiences because of my involvement with, uh, with especially at the community college, but partially at the university level as well. However, I think if I had known that there were alternative options to put me in a better place career wise, financially, etc., if I had known all that, if I had known at least where to look for more education, for more tools of how to build the life that I want. If I had been told all of that, say in high school, the things that they don't want you to know, I, I want to say I would not have chosen to go down the college route because
Mm.
take YouTube as an example. We've talked about it in a previous podcast. Is that you can learn virtually anything on YouTube now for free, rather than spending thousands of dollars on an education degree that's just going to end up getting you in a Starbucks anyways, right afterwards. You could spend $0 and the same amount of hours. Say you spend, can you imagine if you spent 40 hours a week watching YouTube videos? My God, you'd be an expert on anything you wanted to learn.
And that's the thing is that a lot of my lectures at Columbia, they ironically put um they had us view a lot of YouTube videos that we can just look at our own. It's like Hey, damn,
You
like I'm
know,
having fun with this right now. So, a couple of professors that are, and also I think it's like it also depends on the type of faculty that you get. It's like I did have a couple of professors that I unfortunately do regret ever knowing knowing about their teaching capabilities and their decisions. It's like, and also like what am I learning here? It's like why did I decide to choose this class, and what was I recommended this, and it can be frustrating at times. And it's that, especially especially in this time of the pandemic as well. Like that makes it even worse. And
oh, it made
confining
it worse.
ourselves, yeah, it confined ourselves to virtual learning with such as Zoom, and with Riverside like this right now. It's crazy, and
And I,
Microsoft
and I
Teams.
think it opened a lot of eyes
Oh
into, wait a
yes,
minute, I can learn from home. I don't need to spend thousands of dollars on an education degree that's not going to help me advance my career.
yeah.
It
I mean,
opened their eyes,
didn't
opened
that
their
open
mind.
your eyes? Didn't
Yeah,
that open your eyes and open your mind? And it's like, well, this really took a dark turn fast. And
it did.
man, it's like, and man, I should have thought about this earlier. And wow, this really got my lights going. And
And
ultimately, it did. And at times, it did really piss me off that wow, like I can really do this at home. It's like, and don't have to like ask a bunch of student loans to do this. So it's like,
yep.
wow, like this is really set up. This was very set up, as you said, Jack.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you mentioned you just watched a bunch of YouTube videos in your classes. And that's hysterical because you're absolutely right. It happens, and it happens in the public education system too. We'll watch documentaries, we'll watch TED Talks on YouTube, and it makes you question the professors again. I mean, it's a great tool to use alongside teaching as professors, but if most of those classes in those examples, if we're on the same page here, they'll just show the YouTube video for most of the class, and
Yeah.
that'll be it. But you're right. What kind of that's something that professors don't often realize or often forget or tend to forget, even accidentally, is we're paying to as students to sit in a classroom and to learn from you, not to watch YouTube videos that we can learn on ourselves. Again, it's all right if you're using it as an aid, you're stopping and you're talking about it with the class, all right, fine. But just watching YouTube videos, making your own interpretations of it, we could have done that ourselves. And so that, to me, begs the question further is what should professors what or how should professors be teaching in the classrooms that would be more beneficial than just sitting at home and watching the YouTube videos?
hmm that's a very good question right there. Um, I mean, it would be best that if professors could take the time to at least open up to students and encourage, and maybe encourage like opportunities that can actually help you, and then do some and have some opportunities maybe to, like, if especially with me going to an art school, like he um art school, like, I have some professors that are willing to teach me on set and teach me in the studio, and also be in the editing suite to give me a couple of pointers. So I've definitely been appreciative of having some mentors like that, like those. So, and also like taking the time, like maybe if you want to have like a coffee uh, with a student at times, and offer anything. So, and also to give more back to your community and your student base. That's definitely a one step that I would definitely encourage. And not just be so insensitized and just be confined by what the teachers union says.
Yeah, I just thought of something. What if colleges and universities, I don't know whether this would fly, or we'd have to really drastically change the whole education model. But what if essentially we had the college experience, the on campus experience of talking to people, hanging out with students in the lunchroom, talking to teachers, going to class, but instead of spending 40 minutes to an hour learning something we could have learned on our own, it's just like office hours, essentially. And
Oh
all
yeah,
of the
office hours. Yeah.
education was outsourced to learn on your own, learn on the internet. That's a hybrid model of learning
Hmm.
that universities are starting to use, but most are still not quite there yet. But what if we had
Hmm.
that system where all the education was outsourced to online?
Yeah, pretty much a hybrid model. You don't have to be confined to just one set time if you have to attend class, and maybe just work on your own pace as well. Yeah, that's definitely one benefiting factor that we can learn about too.
And I would agree. But the other thing with that is the only way the colleges would go for that is if they you still have to pay tuition, you still have to pay for those courses,
Courses,
and
yeah.
and again, just if you think about it from a cost benefit analysis, colleges are at a significant disadvantage in the educational marketplace in today's day
Hmm.
and age. That people just wouldn't. It it doesn't make logical sense from an education only standpoint to pay for the university college. Again, unless you're going into certain professions that require those degrees.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. If it's like nursing or law, I mean, those that or medical school as well, like those that really do require it. So yeah, definitely one aspect right there too.
Yeah, a very interesting discussion today. I think we're going to start wrapping it up. If you once again go to jacktempley.com/, the thinking cap forward slash shop. Make sure to get your thinking caps. Make sure to get your thinking cap mugs. If you are interested in being a guest on the thinking cap, you can head over to our Facebook page at the Thinking Cap Podcast. And if you go over to services, you'll be able to book an appointment with me, and that's essentially when we would record our the next episode of Thinking Cap. Make sure you have a topic in mind. If you have a particular question that you want to debate and talk about, to think about it out loud, that I would really look forward to hearing from you, especially since Jake, you are going to be starting some new exciting things.
Yeah, so I'm beginning some new opportunities within with the summer coming up, with the summer ramping up. So it's been a blast getting to having some great discussions with you, Jack, and looking forward to see and hear what you have next in the future. But as for me, like with stuff ramping up and getting some more opportunities, thankfully, not everything is bad, at least as far as like there's some great things coming up in the future. So I've been so thankful getting to work alongside you for the past few months.
Oh, thank you, and I appreciate all the work that you've done thus far to help bring the thinking cap to life, get it started, getting up and running. So I'm looking forward to see the next big things that you do as well.
Greatly appreciate it, Jack, and especially for you, man. Like you've been such an amazing friend and a mentor as well, and then you've inspired me to at least to get up and communicate more. So really appreciate your advice and your friendship as well, man.
I'm glad to hear it. Likewise. Folks, if you want to connect with me on Minnect, that's Minnect. If you want to connect one on one, if you have a question or an issue in your life, if you would like to talk with me about something that's going on in your life, need some motivation, need some help trying to figure things out, different ways of thinking about a situation, connect with me on Connect, download the app, and you can send me a text message. You can get a video response, or we can jump on a video call, live one-on-one. I would look forward to talking with you there. Also, if you leave a review, first of all, like the video. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Rumble, like the video. Just do it. Just like the video. It will help to get this podcast out to more people. But if you leave a review on your favorite podcasting platform, I see you. Overcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube Music should be coming soon. Leave a review because that's going to push the podcast out onto to more devices, and so we'll be able to grow the podcast in that way. Stay sharp, stay thinking. Appreciate you all, and we will see you in the next episode.